Okay. Hello everyone and welcome. This is our June 6, 2011 Hope Debt Relief Introduction and Debt Resolution 1-1 video conference call. And I think that we have a great call lined up for you today. Now my objectives for this call, part one, I'd like to share a little about our company history as well as a little of my own personal story. I would like for you to get to know a little bit more about Hope Debt Relief, including our beliefs and principles. And I'd like for you to be able to get really comfortable with us. Then the second part of this call, I'm going to dive into the details of our debt resolution program. We'll talk about how to qualify for it. I'll show you exactly how we assess someone's payment. We'll break down the fees involved, and we'll talk about all the pros and cons and how they might just relate to you in your situation. So we have a lot of information to cover here, so I think we better go ahead and get started. Now I will mention that if I'm going too fast or if I lose you somewhere along the way, now I'll try not to, but if I do and you miss something, I'm having this presentation recorded so that it can be replayed, and it should be up and posted on our website maybe within a day or two. I wanted to have it recorded for a few reasons. First, in case you need to replay it. Second, I would love for this presentation to be something that you could very easily refer people to if you'd like. Obviously, as a video, there's no sales pressure here, and I think the type of information that I plan on sharing on this call might be a real good way for people to become more acquainted with us and with debt relief programs in general. So if you have someone that you care about and that you know are having some debt issues, I hope that having a video like this that you can simply email to them might just be a real good way for you to comfortably break the ice and share. And another reason is so that you can relay this information to a spouse or maybe a business partner or a co-signer that you might have some mutual accounts with. Now, being a married man myself, I understand the importance of sharing with a spouse. And I know that there are some men watching right now who've just got to love the idea that all they have to do is remember to pass on a video. So for all the well-meaning yet forgetful husbands, I understand, and I have your back on this one. So men watching this video, share this video with your better halves, and ladies with your other halves, right? So with that being said, as many of you already know, my name is Jason Zawadski. I'm the program director as well as a co-founder of Hope Debt Relief and the founder of our newest and quite possibly my most favorite endeavor, which is Hope Financial Ministries. Now let me start out by sharing a little about myself here. So far I've had a real long career in finances since just about right out of college for me. I began to rack up nearly 9 years of experience in different areas of debt relief alone. Back in 2005, along with a partner and 2 other employees, we started a real small company, which at the time was called Ethical Loans and Consulting, LLC. Now, the initial idea was to provide debt consolidation loans and credit repair services, but then changes to the economy happened, and all of a sudden people really needed a solution that was much more aggressive and easier to qualify for than just consolidating credit cards into a new loan at a lower rate. So we began to develop new programs that would better suit the current state of our economy at that time. First, we ran our ideas by some high-level connections that we had with several large creditors. Then we set out to develop partnerships with really some of the best consumer protection law firms and nonprofit consumer groups that we could. Once we were completely satisfied with our new programs, we started advertising on Christian radio stations here in Southern California first, and then we spread out to the East Coast with New York and New Jersey, then Texas and Florida, and now years later we're able to help people in all 50 states. At this point, I feel that we really do have the best programs possible. We work with 127 different creditors nationwide. We work real closely with a wonderful nonprofit organization that manages both our credit repair services as well as our very popular debt resolution program. And I'm just real proud of where Hope Debt Relief is today and of what we have been able to do. Our primary focus has always been in dealing with unsecured debts, mainly credit cards, but also personal loans, store accounts, and medical bills. We've always seen credit cards as being the #1 most widespread financial issue for Americans. Credit cards are obviously very enticing to use, but they can very literally trap a family in debt and in repayment mode for decades. A study that was recently done showed that the average middle-class credit card user will pay over $3,000 per year in interest alone, and this is just the average person. And given that the average card does take over 10 years to pay off, this is not healthy. It's not healthy for that poor consumer, and when you look at the bigger picture and the fact that 1 in 7 Americans have over 10 credit cards each, this is extremely bad for our country to have so many people crippled by so much interest. So as financial professionals as we are, we feel that if we can help someone to get out of debt, this help is going to do a lot more for them than just freeing them financially. And we can also help to free them emotionally and spiritually as well. Relieving a person from, in some cases, tremendous financial stress can very literally help save families. It can help to save marriages. It provides healthier environments for children to grow up in. And overall, it's just real good for society. Now, as the Bible clearly states, Proverbs 22:7, the borrower is slave to the lender. And Romans 13:8 adds that we are to let no debt remain outstanding except for the continuing debt to love one another. And I think that's beautifully put and powerful. And I can attest to the truth in these passages personally. My story goes like this. Years and years ago, I went through the pain of a pretty major failed business, which left me with way too much personal and business debt. It was this very difficult experience in my own life that gave me the inspiration, maybe the compassion, and the fuel that I needed to start a business of helping others. So now that it's years behind me, I can look back and see it as a blessing in a way, but while I was going through it, it was a very hard and a very trying time. My wife was pregnant with our first kid at the time. We had to move homes. We had to experience tons of debt for our first time ever, and on top of it all, I had to find a brand new job. So really, not fun. But as a family, we were able to find a way out, and we truly are stronger today for it. So I know firsthand what it can be like, and I'm here now to make sure that others can find their way out as well. So one thing that I hope that you can take from my story and from the history of Hope Debt Relief is the ability to discern us from a lot of others. We have a strong background, and we have built our foundation off of helping others first. We're definitely not here to solicit or to telemarket people to death or to pressure people into programs that are really just not right for them. We were not founded by a group of wealthy outside investors. Our founders are all here, and all of us who work here really are just good people who have had real problems and real life experiences just like you, and who are now dedicated to helping others as well. As a co-founder and as a program director here, I'm here every day. Oftentimes I'm here answering calls for first-time callers myself. Many of you watching this may have myself as your personal counselor, and all of us here are really just this dedicated. We're going to do all we can to give you a more personalized and a more comfortable experience. We really want to see you out of debt. And then we're going to help you to repair your credit afterwards. And in general, we just want to see you have a happy and a fulfilled life. So I'm glad that you found us, and I'm anxious to get you going, and I really hope that you are too. So for this next part, what we call Debt Resolution 101, I'm going to get the whiteboard going here, and we'll get into just how debt resolution and this particular program works. Okay, now for part 2, and let's go ahead and jump into the good stuff here. But first, a little prelude and disclaimer before we do. Now, I don't intend for this part of the presentation to be a sales pitch for the programs that we specifically offer in any way. I intend to give an overview of what we call our debt resolution program, which is an aggressive way to get out of debt within a relatively short period of time. Now, this program can be extremely effective for someone who needs their payments reduced by a lot. However, it's not necessarily a good fit for everyone. I would never prescribe this program or recommend it to someone that didn't have a legitimate need for it. And also, I'll just get this out of the way now as well. Personally, I'm not a CPA or an attorney, so for specific information regarding your taxes or any legal issues, always consult a certified CPA or a licensed attorney. Okay, so I'm sure that that's understood, so let's move on to Debt Resolution 101. Now, it's a fact that everyone that comes to us for help has a debt issue. However, it's also a fact that not everyone needs the same exact solution. And this is where a lot of other companies might get it wrong. Some people may only need a slightly lower payment and lower interest rates, but they still have good credit. So keeping their credit intact may just be a priority for them, and it may not be worth sacrificing. So this person, it might be a perfect fit for our interest rate reduction program, but not necessarily debt resolution and what we're talking about here. Others are in a much worse situation where they need something aggressive, and they definitely need it now. They need a drastically reduced payment, they need reduced balances, and they need a very short-term plan to get out of a lot of debt. Now, here we're going to be talking about debt resolution, or the more aggressive type of debt relief. So if you're still not sure if this program is the right one for you, after this video, make sure to contact us, and a counselor will be sure to go over it with you, go over the details, and help you figure it out. Okay, so now we are going to talk about how it all works, and I'll show you exactly how the monthly payments are calculated, and also how they can be adjusted if needed, either lowered or increased if you need to pay the program off sooner or want to pay the program off sooner. We'll talk about the fees involved and also the qualifications for the program, and then we'll discuss your part throughout the process. And finally, I plan on talking about the possible side effects of this program, and also how to handle them if they do come up for you. And then we'll go ahead and wrap this presentation up. So first, qualifications. Number one, you need to have qualified accounts. Qualified accounts will include most credit cards, obviously, retail store accounts, personal loans that are made through banks, medical bills, and generally any and all different collection accounts. Student loans do not participate. Secured accounts such as auto loans do not qualify. Military or USAA accounts generally do not participate. Most federal credit unions do participate, but some will have certain conditions. Same with Target retail accounts. They do qualify, do participate, but they may have certain conditions that apply. And the accounts that were open fairly recently, within the last few months or so, they may have some special conditions as well. The remaining qualifications are going to take into consideration the nature of this program being a hardship assistance program. So what we'll need to have on file is first of all, a record or a summary of your hardship story, meaning what exactly happened to you to cause you to need this program in the first place. Was it a loss of job? Were you laid off? Were you divorced? Did you have a drastic increase to your mortgage payment? Medical issues or whatever? And then once we cover that, we'll also need a financial application on file for you. The financial application will basically reinforce the fact to your creditors that you have a need for this program. And what this is going to show is two things. Number one, that your monthly budget is uncomfortably tight given your current payments on your current accounts. And number two, on the other hand, that it's not too tight. You need to be able to afford your other necessary living expenses, plus whatever the program payment is going to be for this program. So we can either give you a copy of the financial application to fill out on your own, or if you'd like, you can just simply go over it with your counselor and he or she can fill it out for you. Now, let's talk about the structuring of this program and how to calculate the monthly payments. Now, your monthly payment is going to be based off of your current debt amount and whatever the program term will be. Now, to a certain point, we can lengthen the term to accommodate for an even lower payment in cases where this lower payment is really needed. The general rule, however, is that you will need to have the shortest term or the highest payment that you can comfortably afford. And this is because history has shown that the shorter the term, the more focused and ultimately the more successful people tend to be with this program. Now, to help me to explain just how the program payments are structured for this program, I've made up an example, and we'll get into that right now. Okay, so made up an example here, and let's say Isaac. Made up the name Isaac. I like the name Isaac. Let's say Isaac here has a debt amount of $35,000 that he wants to enroll into the program. So you guys are gonna laugh at me. I made up these cards here for a couple different reasons. Number one, so because my handwriting's not too great, so I wanted to make sure you guys could read them when I put them up here, and also for the sake of time. So let's say Isaac here has a current debt amount of $35,000. Now his payments on this debt add up to $1,100 per month. So let's say that Isaac, he was laid off from his job, had to take a new job with less pay, which is a common scenario, unfortunately, nowadays. So let's say he's about a month and a half behind, going on 2 months. He's talked to his creditors already, and they've told him that basically there's just nothing that they can do to help him at this point. His payments add up to $1,100 per month, which is just a little bit too much for him, as we'll see here in a second. When we go over his financial application with him and take a look at his monthly budget, he has an income $5,000. His living expenses add up to $4,400, which would would obviously be his necessary living expenses, such as his housing expenses, utilities, car payments, food, all that kind of stuff, insurances, all that stuff. So not including the debt payments yet. So if we were to add the debt payments to that $4,400, we come up with a total monthly expenditure of $5,500. So he's obviously upside down. Expenses add up to $5,500. Income's only at $5,000. He's obviously upside down $500. So monthly budget, I've got him at negative $500. So Isaac obviously needs some help. Now, to calculate payments for this program, we always take 60% of the total debt amount. So if we do the math here, 60% of Isaac's $35,000, we come up with $21,000. Okay, $21,000. Now we always take 60% because that is the amount that is used to, number one, calculate the payment for this program, and it's an estimate of what a creditor is going to end up, sort of a worst case scenario of what a creditor is going to end up receiving back or requiring to be paid when the program's all said and done, along with or including a service fee for the program. So 60% of $35,000, $21,000, this is the amount that we estimate that creditors will require to be paid back, including a service fee for the program. So next, we're going to divide that $21,000 by the term for the program. Now, a standard program term is always 34 months. So if we do the math here, 34 months, or $21,000 divided by 34 months, we come up with a base payment amount of $617.64. Okay, now there are always two fees that we're going to add to this. There's a monthly maintenance fee, which comes out to $49 and can be as high as $79 in some cases, just depending on the amounts of debt somebody's enrolling into the program, as well as those certain creditors. So for Isaac, we're going to take $49. And then the second fee is a custodial account fee, what's called a custodial account fee, and we'll get into an explanation of exactly what this is here in a minute. So that fee is $9.95 per month. So when we do the math here, we come up with $676 and some change. Now we always round off to the nearest dollar. $676 obviously that's a whole lot better than the $1,100 payment that his creditors are requiring from him now that he cannot afford to continue making, or actually hasn't been making for about the last month and a half now. But when we add the $676 to his current living expenses, and we come out with a figure of $5,076, which is still more than his monthly income will allow. So unfortunately, this plan is not going to work for Isaac. So let's see what we can do to see if we can stretch out his term a little bit to help Isaac out and make him a little bit more comfortable. So let's go with the 44-month term. So instead of the 34-month term, we're looking at a 44-month term here. Now we go back to $21,000 and divide by 44 months, and we come up with $477 and 27 cents. Then again, add in the $49 plus the $9.95, and if we do the math here, we come up with a new payment of $536, if you can see that. Okay, and that's his payment based off of a 44-month term, and that is essentially going to take care of his $35,000 debt amount. Okay, so if we go back to his living expenses, add in the $536 to his $4,400, we come up with $4,936, I believe. Okay, yeah. So instead of the $50.76, we got $49.36, and this works. This fits. So all of a sudden, it becomes affordable for Isaac. He's saving the difference here. So he's saving the difference between these two, which is $564. Save $564 per month, and he's on plan to get out of debt within the term time, 44 months, or which works out to about 3.5 years, or actually 3.5 years plus 2 months. So, and hopefully that's worst case scenario for him. So let's put down here 3.5 years. This is his new plan. Get rid of that there. So he's saving $564 for a period of 3.5 years, hopefully worst case scenario. So I think at this point, Isaac should be very pleased. Now, I will point out that terms cannot always be stretched out as far as 44 months. Okay, it's going to depend on your debt amounts again, and also those creditors that you are enrolling. So please don't count on it before speaking with your counselor. Okay, so there you have it. Transparency and consumer education is what we're all about. So now you can see exactly how it's done, and hopefully this is going to put into perspective for you, how and also why it's going to work, or how it does work. Pretty simple formulas and pretty simple math here. Okay. So that's an overview. Now, to discuss the exact details of your situation, if you haven't already, make sure you contact us, and we'll definitely have a counselor put together a plan specifically for you. Okay? Okay. So now let's talk about the account fee that's associated with the custodial account, that $9.95 fee. Now, each person that rolls into this program, they'll have a special account that's open in their name. The term for this account is a custodial account, obviously. It's basically a savings account that will collect your payments and then transfer your payments to your creditors when the time comes. So the monthly program payment, in Isaac's case, his payment amount of $536 that we came up with, it will be placed in this account through automatic debit from either his personal checking or savings account, whichever he prefers. Then out of this custodial account, the program fees will be deducted, and the rest of the $536 will be left to pay off his creditors when the time comes. Okay, so I have another scenario here, and this is a very good scenario. So let's say that a creditor accepts much less than what was originally planned for. Let's say that it all adds up to about 45% that you need to pay back, including those service fees, instead of that 60% that we initially accounted for. Well, in this case, you would save the extra money, and you would be able to pay off your debts much sooner. So in Isaac's case, again, he would pay much less than $21,000, and he'd be out of debt in much less time than the 44 months that we had originally scheduled. And this does happen all the time, by the way. Creditors, they can be very accepting of lower payoffs if this allows them to write off their losses sooner. So they can be very anxious to make a deal, so to speak. And it's our job, and we are always trying to get the absolute lowest payoffs and the best deals for our clients. So I think that the positives for this program are pretty obvious. So now in this section, let's talk about some of the possible side effects. Okay, now this program, it will affect someone's credit, and I think that's pretty clear. Credit will most likely get worse before it gets better, and here's why. While someone is in this program, they're obviously not making their normal payments to their creditors any longer. If they could afford to do so in the first place, they probably would not need this program, right? So after enrollment into this program, most of the time creditors, they will continue to leave negative remarks until your accounts are paid off. Okay, so to put this into proper perspective, because of the fact that there's more to determining one's credit worthiness than payment history and credit score alone, more that you need to be worried about. If you intend to enroll in this program, this means that you must have large balances on credit cards, and most likely your balances are probably over 50% of your limits right now. So without a doubt, this fact is hurting your credit score, or it's hurting your overall credit. Anyways, so creditors, they're going to weigh these factors very heavily when considering you for new credit. And they'll also look at what's called your debt-to-income ratio, and as well as the amount of revolving debt that you're carrying month to month. So the point is that there's a whole lot more to credit than just someone's credit score and their payment history. There's a lot of other factors that come into play when a creditor, a new creditor is kind of grading your credit and seeing if you might be worthy of qualifying. Okay, and I hope that makes sense because it is important to understand. Now, if you're late on your payments already, or if you have plans to not use your credit for the duration of this program anyways, or maybe you've had some negatives associated with your credit in the past, repossession, foreclosure, collection accounts, old collection accounts, you may just have nothing to lose at this point. So the benefits of this program, they may far outweigh the negatives, at least concerning credit. So this is all stuff that you need to consider. Now let's talk about another possibility. There's always a chance that a creditor or collection company could try to take legal action. Now, if they plan to do this, their first step is to notify you by mail. Generally, they will attempt this in order to make sure that you haven't forgotten about them, and also to see if they can maybe scare you into complying with their wishes. Now, what you need to do is, if you receive a letter indicating their legal action, is to give us a call and let us know right away. In turn, we will have a manager here contact this creditor just as soon as possible, and we're going to ensure them that we will prioritize their account, and that we'll have them paid very next in line. So over 90% of the time, this is really all it takes. This is generally all a creditor wants to hear. They want to hear that they're going to be paid. Now, you have to remember that accounts that you are enrolling into this program are always unsecured accounts, which means that there's no collateral. So, there may not be a whole lot that a creditor can do to you anyways. Now, in certain cases, it is true that a court may allow a creditor to garnish someone's wages, but there are strict limitations to this, and this can be very avoidable. So like I said, over 90% of the time, this legal action can be taken care of before it even becomes an issue, and it's definitely not the end of the world if it does happen. Okay, so now on to collection calls. This again is due to the fact that you are not able to make your regularly scheduled payments, so you'll probably end up receiving some bothersome collection calls. Through due process, creditors, they're going to refer your account to their collection departments in most cases. This is where computers will then automatically generate your phone number, and they'll end up making those calls. Now, keep in mind, if you happen to speak with an actual person, this person's sole job is to collect as much as they possibly can from you. So, they're not always going to be pleasant, and sometimes they can seem intimidating, and they've been known to lie, say things that aren't necessarily true. Now, once you're enrolled, we'll definitely give you clear instructions on exactly how to deal with these collection calls, and we are always trying to do anything that we can to make sure that they go away for you as soon as possible, and that they don't get out of hand, and that they don't really become that big of an issue for you. So another topic that sometimes comes up is tax implications. Now, it's a fact that a creditor can issue a 1099 form for the amount of debt that they forgive. I've personally never seen this become an issue, but if you do get a 1099, you can consult your CPA, obviously, or simply refer to what's IRS Tax Form 982. And this is a tax form that you're going to supply to the IRS. It's going to show your need for this forgiven debt, which is going to allow you to not have to pay taxes on this portion of your forgiven debt. Okay, so like I said, I've never really seen it become an issue. If it is, you can consult a CPA. Now, fees, you'll clearly see any and all fees pointed out on your payment schedule once you get to that point of the enrollment process. And we've already gone over the fees that are generally associated with this program. So there you have it. I think that we've covered it all, and I know that I definitely went over the time that I had planned for, but I think the more you understand this program and exactly how it works, the more that you're going to be able to see its benefits, and the more comfortable you will be with your decision to enroll. Then after you do enroll, all you have to do is make sure that you're making your payments on time, and just let us carry out the plan for you. So once you're enrolled, there's very little more for you to do. The hard work, is really in our hands at that point, and basically it's just a matter of time before you're out of debt. And then once you're out of debt, we'll need to talk about what's in store next for you. Maybe some credit repair, or at that time we should be able to offer you some other services that we're working on right now. We should be able to offer some discounted insurance products here shortly, hopefully within the next few months, or maybe you'll just be so thrilled with the fact that you're out of debt that you'll be thinking vacation, at least a temporary vacation. Either way, we're anxious to get you going and on the right path, and we're very proud to have you as a customer. So again, thank you so much for your time, and God bless. And until we meet again, I really wish you and your family the best, the very best, and good luck with the enrollment process. Thank you.